Mario's here. He's not feeling it.
Gabelli. He's not just a money manager. He's a comedian too. Our guest host today, though, is Bill Gross, founder.
I'm trying to follow your lead, Joe.
Yeah, thank you. I know. About just as effective as I am too. Bill Gross is here, founder and co-investment officer of PIMCO. He's with us for the next hour, and then Mario's here. We're gonna have him in just a minute. We're going to do some headlines first, and then we're going to break out because we have these two gentlemen for the next half hour to do a roundtable discussion about talking things from the high level down and from the bottom up. So it's a great conversation. And these two guys could together pay for health care reform, but we're not going to ask them to do that. Let's check the markets this morning. The futures right now are indicating a little bit of weakness, down about, what is that?
36.
About 37 points or so.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm not exaggerating. Both of them kind of went, when I said that, but they could. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. The Treasury Department is in talks with GMAC about a possible third cash infusion. The company's already received $12.5 billion from the government. The Journal now reporting that the government may now need to pump about $2.8 billion all the way up to $5.6 billion additional dollars into that lender. New questions today about links between former Advanced Micro Devices CEO Hector Ruiz and the largest U.S. insider trading scheme in decades. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Ruiz is the unnamed AMD executive in that criminal case that was filed by the Manhattan Attorney's Office, the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office. The executive in the case is accused of sharing confidential information about the company with a defendant in the Galleon case. AMD says it's unaware of any allegations of criminal misconduct regarding either its current or its former employees. Let's check on some of the earnings reports we've gotten this morning. First up, WellPoint, earning $1.53 a share. That was 18 cents better than the street was expecting. Profits did decline about 11% from a year ago because of its customers being laid off. That affected a significant number of workers. International Paper earning 37 cents a share, 13 cents better than the street was expecting. That came despite falling sales as the company cut costs. Now, we are kicking off that special mega market roundtable that we just mentioned. Again, Mario Gabelli, the famed money manager, chief investment officer at Gamco Investors, and our guest host today, PIMCO founder and co-chief investment officer, Bill Gross. Guys, you look at things from pretty different perspectives. Mario, you're a bottoms-up guy. You look at companies individually. Bill, you're a top-down guy for the most part, looking at these broad economic issues and how that's going to impact stocks and bonds. Right. Why don't we start talking a little bit from the bottom up, because we've been hearing some of the top down. So,
well, look, Bill makes money for his clients. We make money for our clients. You know, it's the old story of a brewmaker. One brews it a certain way, one brews it the other way, and they both are very successful, Coors and Anheuser-Busch. So how are you, Bill?
I'm fine, Mario. It's good to see you again.
Always a pleasure. You know, I was thinking about how to make money from the bottoms up, but I have to do it tops down because it's just too much fun not to do it when you hear.
And I'll do some bottoms up.
Absolutely. Okay. You know, you've been trying to do that, and I've been trying to do tops down. So, you know, we are interchangeable. Maybe we should merge. We have the capital markets are $100 trillion, $60 trillion in fixed, and you are very strong in that. They call you the king, not the queen. And there's $40 trillion of equities, and I see you trying to get into the equity market. So we've got $100 trillion. So I'm going to echo my recommendations that I've been doing for the last 6 or 7 months on Legg Mason, because they have a wannabe, Western, in the fixed income market, and they've been putting everything together. Stock is $30, 160 million shares, $5 billion market cap. And so I think they'll benefit from this, in quotes, global market that you're looking at. So that's how I look at stocks. And in addition to that, the strong will get stronger, Becky. J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, how do they take advantage of the next opportunity? How does the Steve Wynn, even though the stock's coming in, how do they get an advantage because of their capital structure? How does Coca-Cola, how does Pepsi compete on a global basis? How does Procter & Gamble? And then in the auto industry, the auto nations of the world, they're able to go in and buy stores while others are shrinking their stores. And then we also have what I call financial engineering. Company A wants to grow. They want to make acquisitions. Company B, like Bristol-Myers, has a crown jewel in Mead Johnson. They take it public, and then they shrink their cap. So there are a lot of ways to make money. So in a market that is kind of flattish, you basically go back to making money by plain old stock picking.
Plain old stock picking. And you just mentioned a handful of them. I think it's safe to assume you own stakes in all the ones that you're talking about.
Yeah, but some more than others. I mean, we don't expect anybody to take over Coca-Cola. We don't expect anyone to do Indra Nooyi and take over Pepsi, okay? And they're the ones that are going to be doing the buying. The same thing with Goldman Sachs. And so in that context, Goldman Sachs, and in that context, we basically look at companies that are subject to financial engineering. For example, a National Fuel and Gas in Buffalo, New York. They basically allow you to get 600,000 acres in the Marcellus Field, which is one of the great natural gas plays because of new technology. So when you think technology, you think about horizontal drilling. I know you do that all the time, not vertical. And as a result of that, you basically can get 600,000 acres. And what's going to happen is that you have a company that at some point will go through some form of financial engineering. So we look for companies like that.
Trying to come at this from a top-down perspective again, we have seen a lot of M&A activity starting to pick up again. We have seen the credit markets loosen a little bit. So how has that changed the types of companies that you're looking at?
Well, to the degree that you're Johnson & Johnson and create significant cash flow, and now you have a strong tailwind of earnings and visibility is pretty decent for you, for you to go out and do a $10 billion transaction and leverage up half a multiple of EBITDA, that's not a particularly challenging dynamic. Private equity, to the degree that they're looking at a new company and they're doing a club deal again, that is a bunch of private equity guys looking to join up, are they back?
Right.
Clearly they're back, but they're not going to pay 10, 11 times that they did in 05, 06, 07 for companies.
That's what we've heard from David Rubenstein was in earlier, and he said the same thing, that you're probably going to be talking about 7, 8 times earnings for the new normal when it comes to deals.
Well, it's not the new normal. It's the way it used to be until the guys like him got into too much liquidity, and they were able to get toggle-like, pick-like, all sorts of funny covenants that they didn't have to worry about in terms of refinancing. That's over. It's like that vintage that you didn't buy, the bad wine of 03, whereas the great wines of 09, you want to accumulate. So doing deals today are going to work out.
So worldly.